I'm Anna Webb. Welcome to A Dog's Life. Hey, Mr. Binks, you know how I love a portrait of a dog and all artworks featuring animals. Well, that's why we're jumping on Zoom now to speak to Phil Heckles, aka Hercule von Wolfwinkle, whose artworks are taking the dog world by storm. Phil Heckles, welcome to A Dog's Life.
Thanks for having me. Thanks for welcoming me on. It's lovely to be here.
Well, it's really, really great that you're on because we met at Gruff's, didn't we, on the Earth Animal stand?
We did, yeah. No, I had an awful lot of, well, who can't have fun at Crufts, right? So it was an awful lot of fun at Crufts, and it was lovely to be introduced to you and have a quick chat at Crufts, and it's nice to be able to kind of catch up properly now.
Absolutely. Because at Crufts, you had like this whole kind of photo booth area, didn't you? And like a little section where you were taking photos of dogs to then transform these photos into your very original artworks.
Well, original's very kind of you, Anna. That's one of the kindest words to describe my artworks. Most people just call them rubbish, but yeah, that's what I was doing, and it was an awful lot of fun. And of course, we were there trying to raise a little bit of awareness for Street Vet as well. Yeah, it was great fun, really good fun.
Yeah, because this is what you do. I mean, I'm just fascinated because I love people who are creative and different. So you really have discovered, a talent. Now, look, art, it comes in all shapes and sizes and styles and all the rest of it. I mean, one of my recent podcasts is all about the Wallace Museum and their amazing showcase at the moment called Portraits of Dogs. Now, we could liken your work. Maybe I did study art A level, so I do know a little bit. But you're not Leonardo da Vinci. But lots of people don't like Leonardo da Vinci. I must say, I'm not a mad fan of the Renaissance period myself. Because it's a bit religious and everything. But Leonardo, my word, one of his sketches is in this Wallace Museum thing because he was so anatomical in his art. He had to kind of really get the actual shape of everything. There's the study of some dog's paws in there and blows you away in terms of the detail and the fascination with how ligaments, attach onto bone and so on and so forth. So it's very, very, very accurate. But then there's also Hockney in there and his Daxies, kind of a reminiscent really of some of your Daxies that you've done.
Oh, wow. Well, that's quite a compliment. I'll definitely take that. Yeah. I mean, I think for me, the thing is that I'm not an artist. So before all of this kind of kicked off like 2.5 years ago, art wasn't even like a hobby, never mind a passing interest. To say I'd never really drawn in my life before is maybe like a bit of an exaggeration because we've all doodled on the back of an envelope, right? But that was basically the extent of my kind of interest in art. I didn't do it at school, I didn't do it at college, and so this style, I guess, that people talk about is really just me kind of, actually probably I shouldn't admit to it, but just trying my best to draw people's pets, and they come out looking a little bit well, you'll have to look. I guess if people haven't seen them, they'll have to go and check them out because it's quite hard to describe what they look like, right?
Yeah. No, listen, I love them. Really, really. I'm looking at some now because your website's very exciting as well. Because the point of doing your art though, and reaching out to people, making people smile, which I think this is what it does. It makes people smile. And particularly in the time you've been doing it, the last, nearly 3 years, people have needed a bit of a smile on their face.
Yep.
And I think that's a very, very good, kind thing to do, really. But it's also immortalizing their pets in a quirky way. But it goes beyond that, really. You know, what you've created is almost like oh, correct me if I'm wrong, but like a machine to raise money for good causes, which is
Mhm.
also a very good thing to do. And as you just mentioned, there's Street Vet, who is, well, a friend of the podcast and a friend as well in real life. The organisation is amazing, helping homeless people, but they're one of your designated charities. They're your dog, in inverted commas, charity. Am I right?
That's right, yeah. So it all started. I mean, actually, because you talk about this just making people smile, and at the heart of everything I do, that's basically all I want people to do is just to see one of my pictures and smile. And that was how this all started, because I just shared a picture on my Facebook page to my friends of this picture that I'd drawn of our dog when I was just drawing at home with our then 6-year-old son in lockdown. And I drew this picture, and it was rubbish, and it was like, and it was rubbish. I get told not to call my pictures rubbish, but it was rubbish in the context of, like, you know, when you see those really like photorealistic like drawings of people's dogs, that was like, that's what I was kind of I was trying my hardest to draw this like perfect picture of our dog Nyla, and it came out, and it certainly was far from perfect, and it made us smile. It made me and my son and my wife laugh and smile. So I shared it on Facebook just because I wanted to make other people smile. And then it's obviously kind of exploded into kind of what it is now, but at the heart of everything is still just, is this going to make someone smile? That's really all I want to do, and then everything else just kind of builds from there. But so when I first started, it was just a bit of fun, and then I kind of had this idea that maybe we could use this bit of fun to just raise a bit of money. And so the idea came that the portraits are, all of my pet portraits are free, and they still are today, even though I've got a waiting list of over 80,000 people that all want one. The portraits are still free, and I just ask people that if they're lucky enough to get picked out, or unlucky enough, depending on your point of view, you make a donation to one of my chosen charities. And when I started out, the charity, or the first charity that I started supporting, was my local homelessness charity, Turning Tides. And we still support them today as well. But in the second year, when we hit the sort of first year of the project, it coincided with also hitting a huge fundraising milestone. So about a week before the first anniversary of the project starting, we also hit £100,000 for Turning Tides.
Gosh.
And I kind of wanted to, kind of going into the second year and things, I wanted it to, be really clear that we weren't stopping, that it wasn't a case of, oh, well, I've been doing this a year and we've now hit 100 grand. So it's now going to sort of stop. I wanted to sort of show that we were trying to go bigger. And so in the second year, we introduced Street Vet as a second charity. And it was just such a perfect fit, really, Anna, because, here I was, like, raising money for homeless men and women by drawing people's pets. And so to then be able to support a charity that helps the pets of homeless men and women, it was an absolute, like, no-brainer. And I'd done a one-off fundraiser for Street Vet during the first year, where we raised like £6,500 just on a raffle to get a portrait done. So I was aware of them, and then, like I say, we officially brought them in as a second charity since year 2, and I am still fundraising for Turning Tides as well. It's just now people have a choice as to who they donate to, or neither, because the donations aren't compulsory. It's a completely voluntary thing. If you want to donate, you can, but it's not compulsory to donate. It's just nice if people are able to.
Yeah, gosh. No, I love it. And well, I love what you're doing with the focus on homelessness, because I think that all ties in, as you say, really, really well. And Street Vet are doing such great things to integrate dogs into hostels and lots more, and vet care and support on the streets. And I just think keeping the homeless community together with their dogs is so important, so I really obviously understand, like you, the power of the dog as being your steady, your steadfast companion. The only companion really any of us have in life is your dog. They're the only truly loyal friends out of all of them, actually, that you can truly rely on. No, I get it. And I love Jade's stat as well, and we've done a podcast. But I mean, and what's amazing is, though, in this short time, you've really gone from 0 to 60 in terms of raising funds, and you've been awarded by the Prime Minister I mean, it's only in just over 2 years. If you've also had the Creative Fundraiser of the Year award awarded to you, and the Just Giving Awards award as well. So
Yeah.
this is quite good, right?
I mean, it has been a, like, I guess it's like anything, like when you're in the middle of the thunderstorm, as it were, you don't you don't quite appreciate just how much is going on, but you kind of take a step back from it, and you think, crumbs, yes, like so much has happened. And that list of, I've kind of got this like a little list in my head of the things that would have sounded strange like 3 years ago that now just seem normal, you know. Like if you'd have said to me 3 years ago I'd be at Crufts drawing people's dogs, I, you know, I'd have looked at you blankly, and now it kind of just seems the most natural thing in the world. And yeah, like so much has happened in the last 2.5 years. It really has been like a whirlwind. But getting like kind of like awards and accolades and things, it's like, don't get me wrong, it's lovely to kind of receive, but it always sits a little bit uncomfortably with me because, like, you know, you talk about Jade and Street Vet and the wonderful work that these guys do and things, and you think like, you know, I'm just drawing silly pictures of people's pets, and in kind of like the context of the people that are working for these organizations actually on the front line doing the work that they do, they're the guys that should be getting like rewards and accolades and things. And but it's nice to, you know, it's nice to be you know, to obviously nice to be sort of recognized, I guess. But yeah, it's been a real whirlwind of a couple of years, and hopefully it will continue for a little bit longer. I'm doing everything I can to try to keep it going for as long as people are donating. I've always said, if people keep donating, I'll keep trying to draw their pets, and you know, at the moment it's that's still happening.
Gosh, well, with 80,000 on your waiting list, I would imagine it will keep going for a bit. But you know, you've got everything on there, like greetings cards and mugs and T-shirts. So it's, I mean, just what, I mean, for me, for example, if someone, you know, reached out to you and got one of my dogs or Gremlin, my cat, done, and then for my birthday sent me a mug with your actual drawing on, I'd be over the moon. I mean, I'd be so happy. I'd be jumping around. And I can see the appeal of your drawings. I mean, you know, and they're not rubbish. They're absolutely not rubbish, but they are signatory, if you like. And then, so I can see in the future some of your drawings being auctioned at Sotheby's, you know, for a huge amount of money. You know, let's hope so. I mean, look at some of these cartoonists. I mean, look, well, Schultz and Snoopy, you know, there you go. That's one example. I know, yeah, he was a cartoon and all the rest of it, but Snoopy made a huge impact on people's lives and still does. And that was only, well, what would that be, about 70 years ago now, really?
Yeah.
So, you know, it's all, who knows, but it's a really good sentiment and positive intention that you've got. And I think, you know, that's what a lot of life's all about, really.
Yeah, I think it's like you know, there's a bit of a mantra that I've tried to stay true to throughout the project, which is there's a band that I was a huge fan of called Frightened Rabbit, and the you know, kind of their lead singer Scott Hutchinson had this sort of phrase of, while I'm alive, I'll make tiny changes to Earth, and that's kind of like a little phrase that really resonates with me, and certainly throughout this project. And in that, you know, kind of like the changes that we all make to try to do a little bit of good and to put a bit of good back into the world, they don't have to be like huge, you know. All I'm doing, if you look at what I'm doing in its kind of simplest form, I'm just drawing a picture of someone's pet, right? You know, and yet the kind of changes that and everything that kind of comes around that and what we've been able to achieve have been brilliant. And I think, yeah, we can all do things to just put a little bit of good back into the world. And mine's drawing people's pets in a, I'll stop calling them rubbish then, but let's say quirky, you know, kind of quirky way. And thankfully, the amazing community of people that follow me and support what we're doing online continue to do so. And that's why we've been able to raise all this money in a way, like not because I'm drawing these pictures of people's pets, but because people are donating. If nobody donated, then my Pawtraits wouldn't have raised a dime, right? So it's kind of, it's all been built off the back of this community of people that follow what I'm doing and support what I'm trying to achieve. And together, that's hopefully doing a little bit of good by supporting the charities to do the work that they do.
No, it's all really, really now and very connective and very post-pandemic. Now, I've got to ask you the million-dollar question, Phil. I've really got to. How did you come about your amazing artistic pseudonym? Which, in case people don't know already, it is Hercule van Winkle.
Well, you've got the
Did
pronunciation
I
spot
say it
on,
quite well?
absolutely spot on. Yeah. Do you know what it is? It just shows what happens when you leave me unattended with my thoughts for about 5 minutes. But I can't genuinely, I can't tell you where it came from because it's been my Facebook name for about 10 years.
Oh,
And there's a bit of an irony to it because the reason it was my Facebook name was because I didn't want anybody to know to find me effectively, and so weirdly it then becomes the name that makes me, kind of everybody knows me by 10 years later. But it was just that thing of I came off Facebook because like you get fed up of like sort of basically you've got hundreds of friends but none of them would say hello to you if they saw you in the pub type thing. So I came off Facebook about 10 years ago, and then you realize all the things that you miss about it, which is like keeping in touch with family that live on the other side of the world and all of that kind of thing. And so I came back onto Facebook, but I didn't want that kid that used to sit next to me in geography to find me. And so I came up with this fake name, and Hercule van Wolfwinkle was born. And then kind of fast forward 8 years later, I don't think I could have come up with a better fake artist's name if I'd have tried, but yeah, where it actually came from all those years ago, I don't know, other than, like I say, I just, leave me alone with my imagination for a little while, and I tend to come up with wacky ideas.
yeah. Well, it's a bit sort of, I know, mystery murder combined with the love of dogs, really, Hercule. But no, I love it. I love it. I love it. No, I'm just looking at some of your works now. I just love the way on your website you've got these really ornate frames. Really, I love that with the contrast of your drawings. I think that works really brilliantly, actually. And I love the chicken that you've got in the oval frame. I mean, that's just great. I mean, you see, I love a bit of kitsch. I'm, and I'm very vintage, living in Hackney and everything. You've got to be. And I think that they're really of the moment. So anyway, it's really exciting. So tell us a bit more about your own dog, Nala.
So Nala is a 2-and-a-bit-year-old black Labrador retriever. So we got her. I say she's a lockdown puppy. We'd sort of committed to her before lockdown, and then we actually we had a sort of middle of the night flit down to the breeders to pick her up the day that Boris announced that we were locking down. So we were due to pick her up. I mean, the timeline of all of that's quite sketchy for all of us, right? But I think, did we lock down on a Wednesday or a Tuesday or a Wednesday or something like that? And we were
I can't remember. Yeah, I know.
It was like the start of a week, and we were actually due to pick her up from the breeders on the Friday. And so we were all geared up to be going down to pick her up on the Friday, and then kind of 3 days before that, Boris locked us all down, and we kind of had this midnight dash. It was a 2.5. Well, it was a 5-hour round trip actually, in the middle of the night to go and pick her up a few days early, and so she's a lockdown puppy, and she's a typical Labrador. Say she's 2.5 now, and she's still mad as a box of frogs, but we love her to bits. And she's actually to blame for all of this adventure that I've been on, because it was her picture that I drew when I was just drawing at home with our son Sam. So she's looking at me now as if to say, don't blame me, Dad. But if she wasn't here, I wouldn't have drawn that first picture to post online. So yeah, she's to blame for all of this adventure that I've found myself on.
Oh, that's so good, though. That's brilliant. And how is she now? Because, that's quite a moment in time, really. Something you'll never forget, isn't it? Driving to pick her up before we were all locked up, I mean, absolutely mad. But how is she adapting, to life as it gets bit by bit more normal? It's pretty normal now again, I think.
Yeah. I mean, to be fair, she's absolutely good as gold. She's lovely natured. And I think that the hardest thing for us was the fact that obviously that initial socialization that you'd like to do with a puppy was really difficult because well, no one was doing anything, right? So
Yeah, exactly.
and even just, you know, kind of those first few walks that we were able to take her on, you know, every time you saw someone coming down the road towards you, you had to cross over the road, you know, and you know, everyone was staying away from each other, and so I guess the hardest thing was just that initial bit of sort of socialization, but you know, she's absolutely, you know, say well socialized, she's good as gold, she's great with people, and she's good with other dogs, and yeah, I'd like to say she lives the life of Riley, but you know, we all probably think that about our dogs, right? But no, she's
You
lovely.
hope so, you know, you hope so. I mean, even I think sometimes, gosh, you know, everyone, you know, you could do better. You know, I always push myself with the dogs. I always think, oh, you know, we need more enrichment, although they've got enrichment pouring out of their ears. But is Nala a fan of an earth animal chew? I must ask you.
She loves them. Oh yeah, like absolutely loves them. I think her well, I want to say her favorite flavor is the peanut butter one. But to be fair, I mean, you know, that's like splitting hairs because she goes wild for any of them. But yeah, she absolutely loves the earth animal chews, and they are a real treat for her when she gets them. So, but again, been a lab. To be fair, anything that is vaguely edible, right? Yeah, if it looks like it could be eaten, it's going to be eaten. So, but yeah, she loves the earth animal chews. But again, who wouldn't, right?
Well, exactly. No, we love them very much as well. Their whole ethos from Bob and Sue in America. Dr. Bob was one of the first ever holistic vets in the world. So interesting. And they've really helped animals in so many ways. And obviously with these chews, anything to stop dogs eating, quite toxic, not very nice, to be honest, rawhide chews that can cause all manner of issues that you don't want. Emergency vet trips is a great thing. And enrichment, you know, I think probably, you know, one of the bonuses of the pandemic, because I think people perhaps were more drawn into realizing about enrichment in the home because we had to.
Yeah, right.
Yeah. So I think that was a very good thing that hopefully has come out. And the fact that you can do so much training indoors, you can have loads of fun hide and seek games indoors, depending on the size of your property. But you could do so much and really activate a dog's brain and sense of smell, you know, particularly with Nala being a Labrador, my word, you know.
Yeah, I think we realized, like you said, you know, kind of been locked down and things, you were having to kind of think of different ways to, well, you know, kind of bond with them, spend time with them, you know, kind of, and you know, I think, like with the dog, it doesn't always have to be like a 2 hour drag round the block, right? You can do like lots of other things to stimulate them, to wear them out, to train them. One of the things Nala loves doing, as you say, we've been a lab, is that we do like a find it game where we just hide little treats around the house or the garden and things, and she has to go around and find them, and she loves doing stuff like that. And she maybe gets an earth animal chew at the end of it as a, you know, as a big reward. But yeah, she loves doing you know, kind of doing stuff like that around the house. And yeah, you said about hide and seek, that was something that we used to do with, you know, with her. Well, I say used to, we still do occasionally, but not so much now, because as I say, she just loves doing the find it game, you know, kind of all around the house and stuff. And you know, it's amazing watching them work, you know, kind of trying to work out where little treats have been hidden and you know, kind of things like that. It's amazing to see a dog doing what they're bred to do, right?
Oh, I love that you said that, because it is so true. It is so true. And when they get on a scent and they're so busy and their tails are going, their eyes are looking, and their nose doubles in size. And it's and you know, I've seen actually a nose almost change physiologically. Prudence, right? Because everyone's bored of me talking about it, but I did train her just before lockdown and kind of up to the second lockdown. To find British truffles. She can still do it. I mean, I'll never forget. And I couldn't believe it. Like the side flaps of her nose were out like an aeroplane. Her nose just changed shape because she was on it. It was all proper. We had an exam. It was all, you know, and she was in woods where she'd never been before. Not at all distracted by the fact there was badger set literally over there. No interest. She just had to find the truffle. And she
Yeah, yeah,
did, and she
yeah.
did. But it was, in a challenging environment because obviously we live, in Hackney, so going to the woods is quite a big deal, not we don't do it every day. So yeah, so it's extraordinary. Dogs are just extraordinary. And and cats, we mustn't forget cats, and you capture cats really well. I mean, must join your big waiting list. That's all I want to say. Hercule is please may Gremlin, Prudence, and Mr. Binks join your waiting list.
They absolutely can. Absolutely. Anybody can join the waiting list, and and everybody's got the chance of getting picked out. Is what I always say. But no, they absolutely can. Funny enough, you mentioned cats. I used to, when I first started, I used to. I'll be honest, I'm not really a cat person in the sense of I've never had cats, as pets or anything. And when I first started drawing, I used to love drawing the dogs because of all the different breeds and all the different traits and everything else. But the more cats I draw, the more I've come to realize that actually all the different breeds of cats and stuff have very unique traits as well. At the right now, I actually really do enjoy drawing the cats maybe a little bit more than the dogs, but that might just because I've drawn so many dogs. The cats are a little bit, gives me something different to do.
Yeah, no, cats. Oh no, I could start talking about my cat Gremlin for hours, so I won't. But he's the first cat, that I've actually owned, and oh god, I love him so much. It's crazy, and I just there's something about a cat, and I think particularly if your cat's an outdoor cat, the fact that they come back is amazing. You always feel so honored they've come home because they could go and live anywhere if they, or there's things like that, and the fact as well, Gremlin is a bit of a bruiser. I mean, the day got off to a terrible start. Listeners will laugh. I heard a fox kind of going whoa, 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 whoa in the garden. Binks, my little dog, kicks off because he's our bellboy. He's the alert dog. Prudence is the backup if we need it. Okay. And I thought, oh, crumbs, Gremlin's not in. So I'm half asleep. It was about 6. And I went out and I was like, like that. And there's a massive, very healthy looking fox stood right in front of Gremlin, who was perched on a pillar in the garden, so at eye level with this fox.
Oh,
so I go out, the fox smells me immediately, and I'm calm. I don't run. I don't want to cause any commotion. So I'm just walking over confidently, I'm giving out the big human intention. It's like, I'm human. It's my garden, guys. And just I locked eye contact with the fox and didn't let go. And just got there, grabbed Gremlin and turned around, and the fox just went off. But gosh, you know what I mean? What a way to start the day. And I love foxes, but we have to understand they're wild. And at the moment, they've got their babies. So it's a very tricky few months. It's the beginning of the year. They're mating and getting all territorial, and then they have their babies and they're guarding their babies, so they're all a bit. And my neighbour's Staffy was attacked in the garden by a fox, and her partner had to get the fox off.
Oh, really?
Yeah, it was only 2 weeks ago. Puncture wounds to the head, the full work. So everyone that encourages foxes to live close residential environment, I think, we've got to, but of course we're building on the fox's land. When I lived in the Shires for 2.5 years, I never saw a fox. Didn't see any nature actually, apart from the rabbits Gremlin would catch and bring in, and various other creatures like ducks and other things I found in the house. But no, didn't see anything. But here, it's like living in a fox pack. So, yes, but we've digressed, but an interesting message, don't you think? Because I know one of your lovely drawings is of a fox mum and her babies.
So that, I did that. So that was I do, before all of this started, I didn't, never really drawn a proper picture in my life. And so I kind of drawn all these hundreds, well, actually thousands of kind of pet portraits. But now I quite like, because I've kind of exploring this new kind of hobby and interest in art. I like sort of in my in inverted commas spare time, just kind of drawing other things, and just sort of trying my hand at other things. And so when it was actually the fox and the fox cubs I did on Mother's Day, it was just a little thing. I sat down on Mother and Sunday and just kind of had this idea for maybe doing something a little bit different to share with my Facebook followers. So I drew this little sketch of a fox mum and some cubs, and then we auctioned that off for a charity called Homestart. And Homestart basically support families in need, and that need can be anything from financial need to people coming in to help with kind of jobs around the house, or to kind of look after kids or whatever. But basically they help families in need. And so I auctioned it off for Homestart, and I think we raised about 1,200 quid on that auction for Homestart. And I thought that was really kind of a lovely thing to do on Mothering Sunday. And so yeah, that was quite nice, drawing a fox. They looked more like orange wolves. I'll be honest. They look more like orange wolves than actual foxes. But whoever bought it liked it, and again, it raised some good money for a really worthwhile charity. So I was glad I spent some time drawing it.
No, it was I saw that actually, and I think I liked it on Twitter, and I thought, no, it's really sweet and sums it all up. And absolutely, and who knows what was going on between Gremlin and that fox this morning. The fox could have taken Gremlin out any second, but he didn't.
They were maybe just making friends,
but you can't really risk it.
No. Don't find out.
Exactly. You know what I mean? Because then I'd be at the vets right now and not recording this podcast. But look, Phil, Hercule, thank you so much for joining us today. And all the links are going to be in the show notes to Hercule van Wolf Winkle. And everyone can check out your art and go on the waiting list. And how exciting, and carry on the good work, won't you?
I will do. Well, like I say, my intention is to keep doing it for as long as people keep donating and keep supporting. Then that's what we're looking to do. The fundraising's at £266,000 now. So the next kind of big target is 300,000. Before I go, I just want to mention that I've got my next big fundraising event is happening on the Sunday, the 14th of May, and I am doing a portrait marathon. Where I am walking from Worthing, where Turning Tides are based, to Brighton, which is my nearest street vet outreach, and back again. So it's 26.2 miles, and every mile marker I am going to stop and draw a portrait.
Of a dog.
Of a dog. So we've got 26.2 miles, 27 portraits, one me, and hopefully a whole load of people that are going to want to sponsor me and chuck a couple of quid towards some good causes to spur me on my way. So that's my next big fundraising event, which is coming up on the 14th of May. And I say the next big fundraising target is to hit that 300,000, and we're within 35 grand of it. So hopefully it's not going to take us too long to get there.
Well, hopefully everyone listening is going to think, gosh, we have to join in and support the cause and get you to your 300,000 target. But well done. It's brilliant. Well, let's please keep in touch. And I'd love to do another pod and, get some updates and so on. So, and really best of luck with that on the 14th. And I'm sure you'll achieve what you want to achieve.
Thanks so much. Thanks so much for having me on. It's been lovely to chat.
That's our show, Mr. Binks. What did you think? I know we're on the waiting list already. You will get your portrait done by Hercule. And you're right, it is time for Woof of the Week. Never underestimate the inspiration of your dog. As we've seen, it was Nala the Labrador that inspired a whole new genre of art. Well, I hope you all enjoyed it. If you did, go on, rate and review the show wherever you tune into your podcast. Thanks again, of course, to Phil Eccles for joining us today and revealing Hercule von Wolfwinkle. All the links are in the show notes. Thanks, of course, to Mike, my producer, for all the music and production as ever. Find out more about him at Podpeople UK. And for me, I'm just at Anna Webb Dogs. What's that, Mr. Binks? Yes, we will be back in your feed next Sunday. So make it simple and subscribe now. It's free, and that way you'll never miss another show. Bye for now.
Pod